All right, everybody, it's another episode of the Reserve Man Podcast. I'm Jake Brown. I got with me GP.
Family Matters was a great show.
Shagari.
Pac is the greatest.
What's up, Stan?
Man, what's good?
We got with us Donney Rose.
What's going on, Reserve fam?
Izzy, say hello to the people.
Izzy versus Izzy. Hov is the greatest.
We got the hip hop doc.
Martin!
We're gonna talk about the Black Out Loud Conference. We're gonna talk about Dr. Rani. Is it Rani or Rainey? Dr. Rani Whitfield running this corner. We gonna drop the top 5. That is so much more after this.
You know your credit score, man. I'm not gonna be on the star, but that's solid quality stuff. Right. Why is Steve Harvey still writing books when it's Wait a minute. So if I want you, I ain't saying you to Waffle House at 2 a.m. Cause you bullshit. Hey, look, I care about you. We going to Waffle House.
Everybody, we have a great episode for you today, but first, let's introduce our guests. So, let's start with Izzy. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, man, I just want to say thank you so much for having me, man. I listened to the show. You guys doing some great things with the Reserve, man, not only just with the podcast, but throughout the community. My name is Israel J. Wilson. I hail from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I do manufacturing engineering working with Orion Instruments. I'm also doing creative direction with the Black Out Loud Conference with the social media aspect. Extraordinary conference. I'm going to just slide over to my man Donney right here.
Yo, this is Donney Rose. I'm the founder of the Black Out Loud Conference. But before I was that, I'm a writer. I'm a poet. I am a community advocate. I'm a teaching artist. I'm out here. And I'm from Baton Rouge, and I've been from Baton Rouge, and this is just where I'm going to be.
Man, I remember your work at the catering, man. We got to pour out a little alcohol for the catering.
That's the catering, bro.
Doc, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yo, it's a hip hop doc. My name is Rani Whitfield, family practice physician here in Baton Rouge. Been in the city all my life. Love my city, love my people. I'll be running for coroner, first African American coroner in the history of East Baton Rouge Parish.
All right. Get out there and vote.
Yes.
Your vote is important, not
Need y'all.
just nationally, but it starts locally. Locally is where we make the most change.
That's
You
right.
get the people in office that care, that then go on to do stuff for us nationally.
100%, man. It's all about support.
Amen.
All right, well, let's dive right into it, fellas. Let's start with this Black Out Loud Conference. How did you get started, and what is it all about?
All right, so the origin of the Black Out Loud Conference actually came by way of a book that I wrote in 2017. I wrote a book of prose in celebration of black culture. And it started with like a series of Facebook posts where every day I was giving a shout out to everyday blackness. Mm-hmm. Typically when we think about black history, we think about historical figures, but I was like shouting out folks like the bus driver, or folks like, you know, the first person that considered themselves grown and sexy, you know what I mean? Like, it was just a celebration of everyday blackness. And so from that, I thought to myself, and I posted on Facebook, kind of crowdsourced, what would this look like if this morphed into a conference, right? And so people were like, yo, that sounds like that would be a cool idea. I would get behind it. Long story short, 2018, we pieced it together. And so the first Black Out Loud conference focused on arts, activism, and media. Myself as a spoken word poet, also as a community advocate, these things were like very near and dear to my heart, right? And I'm also very in tune with media representation, so it just kind of made sense for those to be the themes of the 2018 conference. Put it together. It came together lovely. It was an amazing 3 days in August of last year. The people walked away like really, really feeling it.
Who was your guest speaker, Don?
My guest speaker was Van Lathan, longtime friend of mine who had just, at that point, was recently off the biggest mic drop of Black America. So for those of you all who don't know, Van Lathan was is the senior producer of TMZ. And 2 months before he came to do the Black Out Loud conference, he checked Kanye West on his Slavery Was a Choice.
As he should have.
And so
Checked him quite well.
Yeah,
right.
And so it was an incredible moment for me to be able to reach out to Van and be like, "Yo, just send me a plane ticket. I'm coming." I'm like, "Okay." So that weekend was phenomenal. We ate good. We talked great. We just celebrated our culture over the course of the weekend. And so based on the feedback from that, it was imperative for me to come back and do it again. And so here we are, 2019, Black Out Loud, happening August 2nd through August 4th. The themes of this year focus around criminal justice reform, mental health awareness, and financial empowerment. Things that are pressing issues in the black community. Right. And so from that, I've gathered a great collective of experts in all of those different fields. Mental health professionals, financial gurus, criminal justice reform, and folks that work within law. On top of that, I linked up with my good brother, Rani Whitfield at Hip Hop Doc. One day I was on Facebook and I was like, I just got off an Instagram message with Moo Fresh, where I just hit her up and was like, yo, you might want to check into this conference. And she was like, yeah, I'll be down to come. And when I posted that, Doc, who was like a Moo Fresh fanatic, was like, yo, what we gotta do to get her out of here? And I'm like, where's the bag? And so, long story short, Doc came through and made some stuff happen. He's the title sponsor for Black Out Loud 2019. We're bringing Moo Fresh, a.k.a. Mamouna Youssef. And what I want to say about her real quick is that right after she leaves Black Out Loud, she's going on a multi-city tour with Common. She just did the Essence Fest. She did the Roots Picnic. She's done NPR Tiny Desk. She's quite a big deal. People in Baton Rouge are not as familiar, but when I tell you that she is one of the dopest female hip-hop and vocalist, she's like a modern-day Lauryn Hill, and that's no exaggeration. So she's going to be out here. And we coupled her with a New Orleans spoken word legend by the name of Sonny Patterson, who has done Def Poetry Jam, who is featured on multiple 2 Chainz albums. So the kickoff is going to be phenomenal from a performance standpoint. Then after that, we're going to get into the business of workshops around financial empowerment and panels around mental health awareness and brunch around criminal justice reform. So it is a celebration of culture. And the main mission of Black Out Loud is to center black narratives, right? Right. To have discussion around black narratives and to center black visibility. So, what we understand about where we live, specifically in Baton Rouge, is that we are a city that is a majority black populace, but when you talk about the social inequity, we're also a city where the median income gap between white families and black families is like a $50,000 difference, right? Right. So we're also a city where black men are incarcerated at a highly disproportionate level. Right. We're also a city where black male suicide has
it's ridiculous.
Increased by 6 times the amount within a 7-year period. Right. And so when we talk about Black Out Loud, we talk about this idea of narrative and voice being at the center. And what we really are saying is that we need you to listen to who we are as a people, acknowledge who we are as a people, and for us to take our space, to center our space rightfully as it should be. So that's what the Black Out Loud conference is all about. I'm excited about it coming back again. I'm excited about the people who are involved. And yeah, we're looking forward to the first weekend of August to get it popping.
I got a follow-up question on that. So you said mental health, financial empowerment, and criminal justice reform.
Yes.
I know in the black community we're facing so many different types of issues. How did you hone in on those 3 topics?
So after the last year's Black Out Loud conference, I think the best answer to that is, so I did some subsequent programming after last year's Black Out Loud conference. So last year's Black Out Loud conference took place in August. So in September, I did a mental health awareness open mic right before Southern's homecoming. And so with that, I invited different mental health experts to come in and to talk about their practice intermixed with people performing and stuff like that. Then in October, I did an event, Black Out Loud did an event called Voting While Black, which was all about voter advocacy. And then in February, Black Out Loud did an event called The Color of Currency, which was all about financial empowerment, financial awareness. Savitri Wilson keynoted that, right? Okay. And so when I kind of stepped back, I was like, these three specific things that I did subsequently after the conference just kind of made sense to infuse into the theme of this year.
Right.
All right. Yeah, I'm totally on board with those three things you have going, but I want to take it a step further and say, do we think going forward maybe education reform and the education system should play a big part? Because I know that's a big part of your prison system, because people aren't educated and they're not able to take care of themselves because they're poorly educated in the school system. The school system can't provide what us as black students, what our black people need. Basically, they're failing out of schools where they don't care. They're in school systems where people not gonna knock on their doors and bring them back. The school system just doesn't care anymore. So I think some school reform should go in there. And the more emphasis you put on school within our community, then you might have less prison reform, because people are able to survive. People able to go out and make a living, and you have even if it's just something like technical training or vocational training or tech schools that get you skills, jobs or something that will
absolutely. So I was talking to Raymond Jetson earlier, because I do contractor work with Metromorphosis, and he's a incredible leader in our community. And when we were talking, I kind of talked about this idea of a Venn diagram of issues within the black community. And so when you talk about this from a Venn diagram standpoint, then there are other things that become offshoots of that, right? So we can, if we were to say criminal justice reform, financial empowerment, mental health awareness, and then we were to draw connectivity between those things, what we would find out is, okay, if criminal justice reform is an issue, well then we have to connect the dots between where's their educational deficits, right? If financial empowerment is an issue, then we have to connect the dots between poverty and how poverty then creates criminal activity, right? And mental health awareness is a part of this Venn diagram. Then we also have to figure out how that factors into criminality, how that factors into suicide rates, how that factors into a multitude of things. And so there is no, when we talk about the issues of us in our community, there is no one sure shot solution.
Because one thing can spin off.
Because again, within the mode of this diagram, there's a lot of different, extensions, right? And so it is my hope with Black Out Loud and the programming of Black Out Loud that over the course of time, we're able to, one by one, address a multitude of things. So the themes for this year's conference are just that for this year, right? And so the spinoff of that, when I talk about subsequent events again, so after that, we may say, well, we need to do something specifically around education reform, or we need to do something specifically around body positivity, right? And so it is my hope and plan that Black Out Loud serves as a conduit to share conversations and information about things that, we may touch upon behind closed doors, but what does it mean to make those conversations public?
One, I love the topics. I was a public defender for 4 years, and I can tell you that these three topics are all interconnected.
Right.
They all impact criminal justice reform. I mean, well, like you said, lack of finances, resources contribute to people committing crime.
Yeah.
Mental health definitely contributes to people committing crime. So all these issues are important in our community.
Yeah, I mean, there is a strong connectivity, right? So if we were to just take one very recent example. So it has come out that the man that murdered Sadie Roberts Joseph was an ex-felon that was convicted of sexually assaulting a 9-year-old girl. Right. It also is suggested that a part of his reason for committing this heinous crime is that he was $1,200 behind in rent. Right. So we have to look at where the connections then come together, right? Because then you're talking about poverty on top of, you definitely are dealing with a level of mental health deficiency. If you can, one, rape a 9-year-old girl and then years later kill a 75-year-old woman. Right? So all of these things are in some way connected. You know what I mean? There is, there's different solutions and different ways to address these particular things. But if you have a community that is economically deprived, they're probably also going to be mentally distressed. If you have a community that's mentally distressed, they're also probably going to be prone to criminality.
Right.
So these things just kind of they overlap and they intersect in a lot of ways.
Man, I just want to say, like, I'm really happy that you added that mental health piece, because I think finance is one of those things that's really obvious, right?
Yeah.
Like it's no secret that black people in Baton Rouge area do have less money,
Right.
as on average, right?
Yeah.
And same thing with criminal justice reform. That's no secret. But I think mental health is that piece that kind of gets overlooked, because a lot of people don't necessarily believe that that's something that's important or that even plays a role in certain things.
Yeah, we have, and I'll say this and I'll stop talking for a minute.
Yeah.
We have been as a culture conditioned to believe that we can pray away our issues,
Yes.
or if we wait long enough, things will subside, right? But my pushback to that idea is like, sure, practice your religion, sure, do what you need to do, but you are depriving yourself of your complete humanity if you think your mental health is not important.
Not only that, but just as black men, it's not masculine to admit that you have mental
Well, yeah,
health issues.
yeah,
It's
and that comes from a historic place, right? This idea of how you were brought here, how you were socialized,
right.
and so you have been told for years and years and years, just man up, just stick it out, just tough it out. But you are dealing with trauma that's taking place in your neighborhoods. You're dealing with trauma that's taking place in your families. You're dealing with your own personal demons, and someone is consistently telling you to just man up.
Right.
That's not a solution. You know what I mean? And so with that, your humanity is being compromised. Because if you're only being told that you're a physical specimen, you're a species, and you should go work and make babies and just be whatever, then that's someone completely saying, all right, this whole other side of you is irrelevant.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's kind of like where it comes from.
I think that the mental health thing is it's really, I feel like the elephant in the room that we don't want to acknowledge as black men. Just to piggyback on what he said, when it's not considered to be masculine, man, you really just have to take a second to dissect yourself, but that was always like something you didn't want to do. And I like to always, whenever I talk about any kind of subject, especially whenever I start with myself, and like this year I took a chance to dissect my triggers, like what really bothered me and where those triggers might stem from, like whether it be certain people or certain aspects or dealing with police, or why I might get upset because of this situation, and it might stem all the way back from childhood. And I've dealt with certain, I always use women as my springboard for conversations, and I've dealt with somebody like, you need therapy. Like you really need to talk to someone about your issues, and we'll just be talking about stuff, and I'll just get very emotional or passionate about it. Wait, hold up. Like you're projecting something on me that's not about me. This is about you. This might be about your father. This might be about your childhood. And before like this year, you really looking at everything. You like, man, nah, I'm straight. I'm good. I'm strong. You're not okay. If you're a black man in America right now, you're not okay if you think you're okay. You tell yourself you're okay. Yeah. But I mean, the things that we have to deal with, like poverty, like I'm sure everyone in here has seen one of their friends might have passed away or died prematurely. That's not normal. I mean, black men deal with PTSD more than most people in the military. I've seen people shot in front of clubs. That's not normal. And I think that one of the things with mental health with us is we've been taught to normalize like catastrophe and disaster, and it is not okay. We've been taught to, if we see abuse in the homes or the family, oh, that's just Uncle Charlie. It's not okay. And I think that us putting mental health on the forefront and letting people know that it's okay to talk about these things, just express yourselves. Don't just pull it in the back, because if it's not fixed or corrected, it's just going to repeat, and you're only going to see the things that you've seen before, and it's going to be a vicious cycle of everything that happened. I watched an episode of this show called Euphoria, and the young man he experienced some things as young and he's still doing the things today. And I'm like, it's certain things that I've seen when I was young. It was like my first interaction, like with a sexual encounter, and it comes back to me. So imagine if you were in a negative state or a negative mindset, you think that's normal. You think that's just the way it goes, and it's not. And black men, we don't deal with these kind of issues. We just think, oh, y'all uncle ain't touch y'all like that, man. That's cool. No, man. No.
Yeah.
I'm not saying my uncle touched me, by the way. I'm just saying.
So Donney wrote a piece around the time that these statistics were released in Baton Rouge about suicide in black men. And they talked about the rates have increased. Well, there was some skewing to that, and there was some political stuff behind that. I'll just be quite honest with you. And the current coroner released these statistics. Black men between the ages of 15 and 24, we've known for years that there's a high rate of suicide in that individual age group between ages 15 and 24. That was the age group that we talked about HIV/AIDS. It's also the age group where we have high rates of suicide in young black men. We're seeing suicide in young black men at the ages of 12, 10, 8 years old. So where is this coming from? We have to remove that stigma of it being weak and not cool if you have mental health issues. And so in that piece Donney wrote, and I'm not stealing his thunder because it's an awesome piece, but he talks about a song that Royce the 5'9" wrote, check on your strength. The lyrics in the song say, check on your strong friend. Because you always got that boy that you can go to and he's dealing with it and he's cool and ain't nothing wrong, but we're not, you never ask him, say, bro, you cool? Are you good? We don't check on our strong friends. So we've got to make sure that we check on each other because mental health is real. People talk about the post-traumatic stress disorder, but there's also something we believe that might be called post-traumatic slave disorder. I mean, again, how Donney says, how we were brought to this country, how we were treated, how we were socialized. Black men were raped by their slave owners in front of their wives and their children. They talk about single black parents and that kind of, when black men and women were slaves, they were always married. They were couples. They were together. Our families were broken up and split a cloth. So imagine this is my blood brother that I'm raised with, and then one day somebody sells him, and I never see him again. And then through that process, he's also being raped. I'm being beat. You see your family members killed in front of you, and so you jump to now, and people say shake it off. It's cool. It's okay. You don't know where the history comes from. You don't know where that background comes from. So it's hard for us to say, man, I'm depressed. I'm anxious, or I cried last night. Why'd you cry? I don't know. I just didn't feel good.
Anxiety ain't a real thing.
Yeah, and they stigmatize you because they may have the same issues, but they're embarrassed by those same things.
So what would you say to somebody who, I don't feel like this, but somebody may have the.
But hold on. So this is the issue, and I'm not saying that you do, but just the fact that you just had to clarify. I don't feel like this. I don't care if you felt like that. That's cool.
Right. What I'm saying
that's
is,
a very good point.
What
And that's the problem
what would
right
you
there.
say to a person that might come back what you're saying by, okay, that was centuries ago, that was your ancestors, that wasn't you, so you didn't have this experience. How does that affect you today? What would you say to somebody who might have that type of feedback?
There's a real cool example of a track race. It's a cartoon they have on YouTube. And they have a black guy, white guy, Indian guy, all at the starting line. And they started at 1492. So the gun pops and everybody starts running but the black guy. So he's running and he's running and he's running and he's running. When it comes to 1865, emancipation, am I right? 1865, don't mind. Edit. 1865, the black man starts running. So as he's running, they got a pothole in front of him. It's raining. They got all kind of stuff in front of him. So all these obstacles that he's facing.
Yeah.
So over that time between 1492 and 1865, these people have acquired wealth, land, property, all kinds of stuff.
Correct.
So yeah, it's hard to debate that topic. Just like we got a president that's in there telling 4 black women to go back to wherever, and I can't tell you where the hell he came from. But it's hard to combat that. But I think we need to understand that. Right. I'm not going to try to convince another man.
That makes sense.
I'm not going to try to convince another man about that. As long as you and I understand that where we're coming from, that helps me raise my 1-year-old son and tell him, "Hey, son, these are the obstacles that our people face. Daddy's going to put you in a position to be more successful. But you have to take where I come. I was always told by my father, you're going to be more successful than me, but you got to take it to the next level because your son should be more successful than you. He has a start.
Absolutely.
If I'm worth $1 million when he's born, he's going to be worth $2 million when I die.
Yep.
Probably more than $200 million.
200. That's talking about big numbers.
I don't have those debates with people like that because there's no winning that debate. They're not going to understand where we're coming from. But as long as we understand as black men and we can translate that information to our young people, I think that's what we win. That's what we become successful.
And also, like this idea of black subjugation ending in 1865 is a myth.
Right.
Right.
It
Because
exists today.
the liberation of black folks only really came about 50 years ago. Right. With the Voting Rights Act, passing of the Civil Rights Act, et cetera, et cetera.
And even with that, you still have stuff.
Right. But even with that, if you end up disproportionately locked up, guess what? Those liberties are gone.
You back in slavery.
Right. So now you're enslaved. Anyway, and even when we talk about so I'm talking about the connectivity, right? So when we talk about financial empowerment, what we know, one of the key drivers of generational wealth is home ownership.
Yeah.
Right. It was as recent as the late 1960s to where the Fair Housing Act was passed. Right. Black people have been victimized by redlining. You know what I mean?
Gerrymandering.
By gerrymandering,
Contract buyers
redlining, by
leave.
someone saying that your part where you live is not of equitable value. Right? Victimized by predatory lending. Victimized by ruthless, aggressive landlords. Hell, the president of the United States at one point was a slumlord denying black and brown people property.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so all of these things, again, they have a large degree of connection. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so when you're talking about black folks getting money, cool. You know what I mean? That's great. But what is, when you talk about getting money, that's one thing. But when you talk about equity, that's something else.
Absolutely.
You know
What I want to bring up is, because Nipsey's dead now.
Yes.
They bringing him back up in the investigation
Yeah, I
for
just saw
gang
that.
activity, and I wondered, was that about? Because once something's the subject of gang or drug activity, you can take the property. So I wonder if they're trying to get that property that they originally wanted to get.
I read a subsequent report that said that his name was just mentioned in the report, that they weren't investigating him for gang activity. Because they had gang activity around.
I'm sure they investigated.
They're investigating his. He had
He's a
partners.
fish.
He had partners in the property. So I'm wondering if they're trying to take that property from them. Now they originally wanted the landlord.
Absolutely.
They originally wanted the landlord to evict them.
Yeah.
But the landlord didn't evict them, and they sold them the property.
Right.
And so I guess they since y'all loopholed us, we're going to investigate the game and the drugs and all that.
It's highly likely because the store.
And now they can really just take it because it was acquired by drugs or however they going to say gang activity.
Yeah, the store generated tens of millions of dollars in the aftermath of his passing.
I ordered a T-shirt, and it took them 6 weeks to get.
So
to
yeah,
but they had so many orders.
it is definitely possible that is a catalyst for that.
Right.
I think that what a lot of those folks did not realize was the popularity of Nipsey, because at the point of his passing, he was not quote unquote a household name. But the irony of it was that a month and a half before he died, he was sitting at the Grammys and nominated for Best Rap Album.
He's a household name around here because I was
Right.
listening to all these.
So he was on the cusp of a breakthrough, and then he dies, and then people start.
I think he already had a breakthrough with. He had small cult following, so it wasn't on.
So when I say breakthrough, I mean from a perspective of
mainstream.
Random white person in Idaho is
Right.
I know Nipsey Hussle,
Right.
right? And so in the aftermath of that, people seeing the response to that, and people donating and investing in his store, well then of course,
That's what I'm saying. He preached ownership.
And so he spent years before getting that major label deal grinding on the underground. And the thing about, when you talk about whiteness and ownership and financial equity against black people, is this whole concept of, as long as we can keep a foothold on your finances, on your revenue, you're fine. But once you profess yourself to be independent, make your own money, build your own neighborhood, build your own communities, that becomes an issue.
Absolutely. I think, and it goes into every kind of asset when they feel as if it goes. I mean, that correlates exactly to sports right now. If you look at everything in the leagues, that's why they have owners. And if the players are united or if the players are on the same field, they know that they have more power than the owners. Now, the owners, they have their big meetings when they all meet together. They're on a team. They're on a force to keep the money within inside. It's a $16 billion industry. But why does a minimum player make $700,000? They want to keep it that way. They want to have the players make, and it's just the same thing as a plantation mentality. Right. They don't want the athletes to combine and unite, because once they do this combine and they do put their assets together, they're too strong. And it goes right back into the black community. And I think that Nipsey, if you look at what Nipsey left behind, his legacy, the sound bites, the clips of black love, black ownership, black empowerment. I mean, like, if you really look at the content, like just not the music, but the radio interviews and the things he was saying, and the message he preached about inspiring your brother to be better, owning yourself. I mean, quotes like, just reinvest your money. Don't spend it on jewelry. Don't do these kind of things. Reinvest. Own land. Those are the kind of things, because I'm coming in from the Black Out Loud as kind of from the outside, and I'm just watching what's going on. And one of the most important things I want to preach and bring to the conference is awareness to everyone. And I think that these three concepts are extremely important when it comes to criminal justice reform. I mean, when I was doing one of my social media campaigns, I used the documentary When They See Us and how powerful those images was, because you need to be aware that this could be your child or your brother or your nephew. Right. You need to be aware of the laws and the regulations and how they can tie us down, and it affects not one of us but all of us. I know this happens in the 80s, but this happened yesterday somewhere in New York. It didn't just start. Right. People are talking about these lawyers like, how could this woman do this? Because it's still happening. It happens every single day. That's why criminal justice reform is so important. But we have to just ring the bell for it. When it's not about money, it gets different. If there's no way to monetize, it's not about monetizing. It's about awareness. It's about knowledge. That's where financial literacy, you can't preach about financial literacy enough, because the images that they're putting out there is about sell drugs and kill your brother. We need to be talking about ownership more than anything. One of the most disgusting things I saw this year was the stripper bowl in Atlanta, when they were proud to and this is what the record labels are pushing. I mean, they own these record labels, and they's like, man, we went to the strip club and we blew $500,000 on strippers, and was proud of it. I had never been more disgusted in my people. Yeah. But I'm like, this is exactly what they want. This is how you divide us. This is how, like, why am I own land? I can go to the strip club. Right. I mean, that's the imagery they want to portray, and it's not slick if you're an adult. Now, when you're a teenager, of course, you're going to take this imagery and you're going to probably blow a few thousand that you shouldn't. Right. But hopefully, with a conference like this, we can bring you back and show you what they're trying to take away from you, because they don't want you to own that land. They don't want you to own anything around you, and it's subtle things like that. Now, I want to get back to one thing that GP said, and it's a very good, important point that we didn't really get a chance to piggyback on, was when he said, "It's not me, though." Every black man is programmed to do that. It doesn't matter what's going on, and it goes back to mental health. We always have to be strong. We can never be soft. And it goes back to women. And you talk to your boys about a woman. A woman might really have this man gone. He might be upset. Man, nah, bro, you straight. Go mess with some more women. Go do this. Go do this. No, man, take care of yourself. Let's find out the real issue. Was it something at home? Did something else happen to you? How can I help you become a better man? Because you being strong is going to lead to the opposite path. I've seen a good friend of mine. He was a big time player. He was a police officer in Baton Rouge. He had all the women, but he was married. 10, 20, 30 women. Well, he found his wife. He came home. He saw his wife. She had a man on the couch. Do you know what he did? Pulled out his gun and killed himself. He killed himself. That's what he did. Damn. Okay? So what you're telling me is, this comes from your masculinity. You try to define your masculinity by sleeping with all these women. That was never the issue. You probably really loved your wife, but you're trying to impress everyone else and try to take care of your own mental health. Okay, this is why black men are committing suicide, because they're trying to prove something to someone else and try to help themselves. I'm sorry.
So let me ask this: at the Black Out Loud conference, is there going to be a specific workshop for mental health for black men specifically?
No, there's not. There is a panel discussion which is divided between 2 black men and 2 black women on the panel. Okay. And then our keynote speaker is a black woman psychologist. And this is what I want to say in response to that, because there's not. The first thing I really want to articulate is the idea that masculinity can be crippling. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is that when we hold hard and fast to the concepts of what makes a man and what makes us masculine, it can be crippling and it can be debilitating. And it can create situations kind of like what Izzy just kind of talked about.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time because especially as black men, like you're either too strong or you're not strong enough.
Absolutely.
Or
there's no gray. It's always black and white.
Medium. It's just depending on what woman's looking at you.
100%.
Well, yeah, with the introduction of this whole toxic masculinity concept, like we've actually been discussing masculinity a lot.
I think, and the other thing I kind of wanted to articulate about, and the reason why there's not necessarily a specific, workshop around black male mental health awareness is that when we're talking about mental health awareness in the black community, it is inclusive of all aspects of blackness.
Right.
So it's black men, it is black women, it is black queer, it is black trans, it is black gender non-conform, it is all of that, right? We are all dealing in this social experiment known as the United States, where we're trying to exist in a space that we were brought in as property. We found our way out of that particular situation. But ever since that time, we have been just second class, right? And so what does it mean to move throughout the world every day knowing that your humanity can be compromised? Knowing that you can be treated as a second class citizen, knowing that if you make a false move, it could be the end of your life, knowing that, all of these different things, right? When we talk about, as men, we focus a lot on the plight of black men, right? And of course, you focus on what you identify with the most, right?
Correct.
But while we are focusing on our plight, our mothers, our sisters, our aunts are catching hell, right? Our little sisters, our little brothers, are catching hell. And so for me, when I think about talking about mental health specifically through Black Out Loud or any other measure, I'm thinking about it from a more robust standpoint, right?
Right.
And really unpacking what does it mean to be black in general, navigating this landscape with traumas, with scars, with all kinds of things.
Dealing with systems that's not made for you to survive in, right?
I think that's why it's much more traumatic on black men, because we supposed to be the protectors in all this. That's why we can't be weak, and that's why genuinely you can't have mental health issues, because you got to protect your mama that's going through it. You got to protect your little brother that's going through it.
Interestingly too, the lowest rates of suicide are amongst two. Who has the lowest rate of suicide?
Black women. Black women.
Really? So
Wow,
people celebrate that. Oh, that is great. Black women don't kill themselves. Why don't they kill themselves? You got to look deeper into that. We're dying. We're dying young from our self-inflicted violence amongst each other.
Being incarcerated.
So we're not available. But I'm talking about why we die. So these women have to protect us. And so their mental health suffers because they're always in protective mode to make sure that we're okay. So when people try to celebrate that statistic, that's not to be celebrated. That's to be investigated and researched to understand why are these women living longer. It's not sometimes because they sometimes black women don't have a choice. Like, I would like to kill myself, which is
right, but I have to live for my son. I got to
pay these bills. So they may want to take their lives. So we got to look deeper into the mental health of black folks in general. So that's why I think one of the reasons Donney didn't just isolate that to black men, because we got to understand how these black women are dealing with this. And they have a lot of mental health issues to deal with as well.
Yeah, I mean,
partly because they're busy fighting for us and trying to protect us.
You have a lot of black women who are walking around as the Walking Dead.
Absolutely.
And
they're living for their children. And
there's no option. There is no way out. Because when we talk about the idea of strength, specifically, and we assign that to masculinity at all times, but if we talk about the idea of strength, and historically, what does strength look like throughout the black community?
It's a black mother. It's
been
a black mother. It's been a black mother. Absolutely.
Black women are absolutely the glue of society.
They're the foundation, man. They're the backbone.
That's a great point, brothers. But we have got to take a break, man. We've been going for a long time. So we will be back with more right after this. All right, everybody, we are back, and we're going to dive into the hip-hop doc for a little while. What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm not going to drop 16 on y'all tonight. Y'all not ready.
All right, so you're running for coroner, right?
Yes, sir.
So here's what we need to know, first of all.
Right.
Why is coroner important to the community? Why should people go out and vote for just the position of coroner in general?
So first of all, most people don't know in the parish of East Baton Rouge, there's 6 parish-wide offices: clerk of court, coroner, district attorney, tax assessor, sheriff, and mayor. In the history of East Baton Rouge Parish, we've only had 2 people hold positions in the parish. That's been Kip Holden and Sharon Weston Broom. So that means we've never had a clerk of court that's African American, never had a tax assessor, sheriff, DA.
All cushy jobs.
So if you Google black coroner right now, you're going to come up with a guy named Dwight McKenna. Dwight McKenna's a physician, 70-something years old, in New Orleans. He's a black physician. We've met good people supporting me, telling me to do what I need to do. And so why is the coroner important? The coroner is an elected position. It's a salary position. He makes just as much, if not more, than the mayor of East Baton Rouge Parish. Mm-hmm. In my history of living in the city, I was born in 1969. We've had, that I know of, 3 coroners, including the current coroner, whose name I will not mention. But we've had Hippolyte Landry, we've had Shannon Cooper, and we had a guy named Louis Cataldi. Coroners are responsible for the mental health of people, so they can PECU, or what they call CECU, Coroner's Emergency Certificate, put you in a mental health institution if you have issues. They can get you out of that institution as well. Okay. So people that are misdiagnosed with mental health problems, and family members, how we do in the hood, call somebody and tell them, get your brother put it in the mental institution. The coroner can determine whether or not that person can go. They deal with sexual assault and trauma in our communities. There's a group of nurses called SANE nurses, sexual assault nurses, and they go out and assess people in the hospital that have been sexually assaulted. We used to call that rape, but the more proper term is sexual assault. Yeah. And of course, manner and cause of death. There's 5 manners of death. You can die from suicide, homicide, accidents, undetermined, or natural causes. But a gunshot wound to the head, does that mean was that suicide or did somebody shoot you? So the coroners, what most people think of is the morbid stuff that you see on CSI and going out and investigate crime scenes, which I'm currently doing. I'm a deputy coroner in East Feliciana Parish. I'm investigating crime scenes. If I'm my own Burger King, I need to flip burgers. And so in our country, 2/3 of the people in our country that are coroners are not physicians. So the game is elevated in East Baton Rouge Parish because you got 2 doctors running against each other. I don't know if anybody else is planning on running.
Quick question: how can you be a coroner but not a physician?
Because you third party everything. You hire forensic pathologists, you hire support staff, and so that is one place that you can be fiscally responsible by bringing in folks that might not be full time. A forensic pathologist, and if you guys saw the Concussions movie with Will Smith, that brother was a forensic pathologist. He actually resigned from his job because the sheriff of this town was the coroner. He was a deputy coroner. So the forensic pathologist, the most qualified person in the world to be a coroner, that's the guy that investigates crime scenes, does autopsies. He was underneath the sheriff, who was the coroner.
It's ridiculous.
Obvious conflict of interest if the sheriff is the coroner.
But you just taught me something. I didn't know that it was that many hats on the coroner. Because I thought it only dealt with death. So I didn't know it dealt with the mental health.
No, I just did my first tutorship. That's where a person with mental health problems, if the family members are responsible for them, the coroner has to determine whether those family members can continue taking care of them. So there's a lot of depth. There's a lot of roles at the coroner.
I didn't know you dealt with sexual assault either. I thought that was all SVU.
And I think a lot of that is purposeful.
Well, that's awesome because I think most people don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm about to ask.
That
and it's not term limited. The current coroner can be the coroner forever. It's not term limited.
Yeah, wears that many hats. But I think that it's absolutely ridiculous that you could be a coroner without being a physician.
So
yes.
So can we back up a second?
It's about to unpack.
Because all right, so when you talk about determining the cause of death, I was aware that a coroner did that job.
Right.
And you mentioned some other hats that a coroner would wear. Can you give me the definition of like a coroner's job? Like what exactly would you be responsible for in totality? Like what is your
So pretty much what I told you, the manner and cause of death in just about anything that happens in the city or the parish. So even in natural death,
crimes or
definitely. So even in a natural death, if you walk into one of the most difficult crime scenes to investigate is when you walk into a room and there's no forced entry, somebody's just dead in the bed. You don't see where somebody broke in the window, bust somebody in the head. This person's lying in their bed dead. They might be 80 years old with a bunch of medications by their side. Oh, he probably had a heart attack. And I'll give you a prime example of something that happened in East Baton Rouge Parish recently, where a young man shot his mother. But when he called the police, he said that she killed herself. So the investigative team comes in and basically take his word for it. State police, when they get the case, looks at his history and says, hey, there's something questionable about this history. This guy has a history. So they just did a little deeper investigation and saw that the way that the bullet entered her neck, there was no way possible that she could have shot herself. Finds out that the young man, her son, killed his mother. So you got a person that's in control, because most coroners don't do the crime scene investigations. They don't do the autopsies. They're managing the office. You got to have a group of investigators that are committed to the job to truly determine the manner and cause of death, especially when it comes to black bodies, because you have sometimes homicides or suicides that might not be homicides or suicide, but you think, oh, well, he was running towards a cop. And then you find out that the cop actually shot him coming towards him. And there's a situation that we just talked about in Iberia Parish, where a young man was said to have taken his handcuffs, he was handcuffed behind his back, took his handcuffs some kind of way, got him around, took a gun that he had in his belt, shot himself, put his handcuffs back behind his back, and he died in the back of a vehicle. And so if you have a coroner who's complicit or that's influenced by law enforcement, and don't get me wrong, you have to have a working relationship with law enforcement. You have to have a working relationship with the fire department. You got to have a working relationship with mental health resources in the community. But you can't be chummy with them.
But you also got to have some morals behind that.
Morals behind it. And what I think is beautiful about the job is it's based on facts. Ain't no assuming. I'm gonna go in this room. We're going to do this autopsy. We're going to have pictures. We're going to have what we call psychological autopsies, where we interview people after the death of a suicide of a person. So you have all that data and information, and after all that's collected, because as you notice in the Alton Sterling case, one of the last things that you heard about was the coroner's report. It was done, the autopsy was done usually within 24 hours of the shooting.
Right.
But the last thing you're going to hear about is the coroner's report, because they got video, they got all the stuff, all the media stuff. The coroner's just chilling, waiting on them to ask them what happened. So it's one of the most important jobs. There's very, very little oversight to the coroner's office. I think the budget is $3.2 million. It's a huge budget, and there's a lot that goes on. You got a coroner's office, you got to have the exam tables, you got to have drug testing, and all that kind of stuff done. And there's some self-generated income that comes from doing autopsies here if you have a forensic pathologist on staff. So again, back to the original question, the main role of the coroner is to do crime scene investigations, determining the manner and cause of death, to assess and to evaluate those who have been sexually assaulted, and deal with the mental health issues in our community when people need to be committed to institutions. And so if you have someone that's committed, and you could actually free someone from that institution if you did an assessment on them and say, hey, this guy doesn't have any mental health issues, or vice versa. And the same thing with death. You could put someone in jail or keep them from going to jail. So that is a very important job. People don't understand the importance of that job, and because it's been riding underneath the radar for so long, I had I'm talking about educated, grown folks, good jobs. Who ran in 2015? I didn't even know they had an election. Did I vote on that? The current coroner ran unopposed in 2015. 2011, he ran against 2 Republicans and won in a runoff. Very close runoff, to say that. I'm excited, man. I plan to be, you guys know me, I'm in the community already.
Right.
Win, lose, or draw, I'm still going to do what I've been doing as a hip-hop doc, talking to kids, educating folks. But one of the things I want to do is engage young people. This ridiculous shooting that happened in the club, I still can't get over that. You know, why we don't have medical detectives, why we don't have stuff, because I'm not just about reporting death, I'm about preserving life. That's what Hip Hop Doc has always been about. I'm telling people how to live longer, happier, healthier lives. We're going to exercise, we're going to lose weight. But in the event that I die, and one of the things I'm going to be saying on the campaign trail is putting me out of office.
Did they even catch who did that?
Yeah, they caught him.
I was about to say, because we had this no snitching
all
within ourselves,
but even that no snitching concept, we can go back to Black Out Loud on that, because there's some reasons why. The history. Why. Do you guys know the Veterans Police Department was founded? What year was founded? Veterans Police Department was founded in 1865.
No snitching is not no snitching.
But a lot
did you hear what I said?
But a lot of those, the police departments and all that stuff started popping up.
That's my point. It was founded. There was no need for policing of black people before 1865 because they had the Klan. Or they didn't have a Klan then. They had slavery. So you knew where you were supposed to be. So after 1865, there was a need to police black people because they were trying to keep us in our places.
No snitching is a TV concept. In real life, people snitch all the time.
All day long. All you gotta do is watch 48. 48. Put them in that room by themselves. Yeah, they start shaking.
You bring them McDonald's, it's a wrap.
And they leave in that room, they start pacing and give them a cigarette. It's on and popping.
I was playing defender for 4 years.
I saw the video.
95% of people snitch.
Couldn't believe that.
No, that's
all of them snitch. It just sound good.
So Doc, I have a question. So you actually educated us on a lot about the coroner position, but why is it important for us as black people to go out and vote for this position?
Well, first of all, I want to make history in our city. I think our city is 58% African American.
Right.
Our parish is 47% African American. I think we're about 20,000 votes from being 50-50 in the parish. So not just because I'm black, but because I look like what's going on in the community, and I think as an African American coroner, I'll be sensitive to the needs of what's going on.
Right.
Am I going because Izzy, my boy, and his partner was attacking a police officer and he got shot in the midst of it? I'll be like, well, that's my dog. I got to go. Dog, come on, man. We podcast together. I got you, bro. I got you. Nah, I'm
do it though.
And you guys know that after winning this election, I'll be held to the highest of standards.
Exactly.
In med school and residency, when I worked with other people that did not look like me, I was up to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning just to be considered equal to those guys. I had to hustle to get mine.
Well, all we asking for as a community, or at least all I'm asking for is fairness.
Fairness,
Yeah.
transparency.
A lot of times,
Based on effects.
from what I've seen in certain different parishes, when you the other offices that you were describing, you know, people in the clerk's office, the coroner's office, they all feel like they're a part of the same team as the DA's office. Like, you know, I've been in courts where the court reporter was like, "Yeah, we gonna get him," and and
I mean, that's real.
You know,
you see it.
The clerk, you know, your job is to issue subpoenas. You're not supposed, like, come on, like,
Right.
yeah, like, so that just having somebody that's fair, impartial, that don't feel like, okay, yeah, this looks bad, I'm gonna have to help the police out on this one, you know.
You have no dog in the race as the coroner. Your job should be based on the factual information that's presented to you. Pictures,
Independent.
drug screens, you know, videotape, whatever it is that you to autopsy report. That's what you're going to base your opinion on. And I'm gonna meet resistance from the African American community.
Yeah.
Well, doc, that was accidental overdose. Well, no, he killed himself. Why is that an issue? Because there's insurance policies involved in that.
Right.
So if you committed a suicide, some insurance policies won't pay out. An accidental overdose, they will. So I got a suicide note that's saying I am killing myself because Jenny Mae cheated on me, and the gun is in his hand. He shot himself. I can't call it an accidental gunshot wound. This man said that he was going to kill himself. There's evidence for that. That's why you do the psychological autopsies, talking to family and friends. That means I would talk to you by yourself, not with you. If y'all stand together, you saw the car, you're emotionally traumatized, as we talked about earlier. You might say the car was green, you say the car was blue. I don't need to talk to y'all together. And even in those instances, you still have to make sure that you understand these people were just traumatized with what they witnessed. So they may give you some stuff, but you talk to them individually. You don't talk to people together. So there's an art to this, there's a science to it, it's the practice of medicine. But the beautiful thing about being the coroner is having data and information to present, and truly investigating those crime scenes to give good information.
So do you have a website? Do you have a place where people can read your platform, donate, you know,
Definitely.
do those things?
All those things. Voluntate. Ooh, brother made us some words there. You can edit that one out. Nah, leave that in. Shows that I'm not flawless. Volunteer, donate. You know, just check out the platform at Elect Dr. Rani. That's DRRANI. ElectDrRani.com. Just got my first batches of signs in. We got a fundraiser coming up with some NFL and local athletes supporting me, and I think that's what's beautiful, man. Like this is fun for me until the mud starts slinging. You know what I'm saying? I have a beautiful family. I'm sure this guy's not going to play fair, and that's fine. You know, do what you got to do, man. But I'm an upstanding person. My community knows my commitment.
But tell us how we can go to the fundraiser, brother.
Yeah, well, y'all can be invited to the fundraiser. They're coming up. I'll shoot the information to the flyer so y'all can have all that stuff. We got some planned. One on the 28th, one on the 16th. A couple things coming up, man. So I'll keep y'all abreast. We still in the planning stages, but we've had 3 already. The fundraiser has gone very, very well. Donnie came out to the last one we had during the rain. We thought we were going to hit this tornado hurricane that didn't come. But people still came out, raised a decent bit of money, man. It's just to show love and support. And you know, people like, Doc, I can't afford. I know you said $50 minimum, man. You come and get $5. I need bodies in the room to show me support that is worth me getting involved. Somebody told, what I found out during this campaign, guys, friends that I've grown up with, that I've seen write checks to the governor for $5,000.
Yeah.
Won't write one.
Can't give your boy 25. And I've volunteered and spoken to these guys at their schools, and they've always given me accolades about what I've done for them, what I've done for the community. And I'm not bragging to you, I'm just keeping it real. But you can't give me $250, you can't give me $100, you can't give me $5, and you're saying I can't get people excited about the coroner's race. Nobody knows about it. Well, that's your job. because you my boy.
Yeah.
Anyone of you guys in this room that's running, I could know you're gonna lose the race. I'm still gonna write a check because we gotta support one another.
Right.
And so there's no way I can win this campaign without the support of people coming out. Like one guy said, Doc, I ain't got it, but I'll give you $5 every fundraiser you have. Bro, I'm gonna take that $5. You know what I'm saying?
That's
so
right.
one yard sign is $5 pretty much for me. That's a yard sign. So if you come to, I got 5 campaign, that's 5 yard signs. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, there's all kind of ways you can help. Getting on the phone, calling folks, reposting. I have a social media game that's on point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm tweeting, posting, letting people know where I am, where I'm gonna be. So that's worked very, very well for me. And so I'm engaging the young folks and getting them out to vote. Got to talk to the young Democrats at LSU coming up. So yeah, I'm working on some different angles, man, to get to the people. So I think I have nothing to lose.
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely nothing.
What's the handles? Is it elect Dr. Ronnie?
Elect Dr. Ronnie. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, Dr. Ronnie for Coroner. You know, I got about 5 or 6 of them, bro. There's a Instagram. Yeah, you know, depending on how I'm feeling, you know how I'm coming.
Just follow all of them.
Yeah. But the Instagram page is Dr. Ronnie 2019, is it? Man, I've been blowing it. And you know, it's crazy that I'm getting some mad love on the pages, man. People are following and sharing it. Dr. Ronnie 2019.
No, we'll be sure to post pretty much all of them.
Thank you. Definitely
when
appreciate
we post the episode, and we'll definitely reshare, repost as much as possible. So you definitely have our support.
I'll definitely
and
appreciate
real quick,
you
if I could interject, and I said this when I went to the last fundraiser campaign. This brother is one of the most stand-up guys that I've ever met. You know what I mean? Everything that he says that he wants to do, he's passionate about. I remember years ago when he picked up the bass guitar and was like,
I've seen him perform. I've seen him.
I'm about to start a band. You know and then
go to work.
And Euphoria the band recently celebrated a 10-year anniversary like a couple of months back. Everything the Doc has set his mind to do, he has dreamed unlimited, without limits and without bounds. And, super knowledgeable and caring of this community.
Right.
And so because of him, like many of us in the room, I learned more about what the coroner position even does. Right. And so I think that, and I'm not just saying this as him being title sponsor of Black Out Loud. I think that for the best interests of the city of Baton Rouge, you need someone who is invested in the well-being of its citizenry. And this man is. Mm-hmm. So, and I said it's a fundraiser. I don't even rock with politicians like that. You know what I mean? But I don't see what he's doing in that vein. I know it is an office, but yeah.
But you gotta stop that mentality, though, brother. You gotta rock with the ones that care.
I mean,
100%.
well,
100%. Let them know.
Let me respond to that. Right. What a lot of my personal belief is that a lot of politicians on a grassroots level, on the lower levels, often come from a place of like purity or from a place of non-tainting, right? And sometimes what happens is as they move along the trajectory of political life, that gets tainted. You know what I mean? And so when I say that I endorse and I'm behind what Doc is doing, I say that from a perspective of me thinking that he's going to hold and stick to his guns from a non-tainted perspective.
Okay, I know what you meant, but
no.
I was trying to get that to clarify to the listeners because a lot of people, again, they don't care about politics and they think people don't care. But you got to recognize these people in the community like Doc that care. You got to 100% push them all the way through as far as they want to go. Because that's going to be your judges. That's going to be your lawyers. That's going to be your Senate. That's going to be your House. If you have people that don't care, who's going to oppose the people like the Trumps? Who's going to oppose the people that's not for you? So you got to, when people like Doc truly care, you on that local level got to be pushing these people through.
Well,
so
I
get what he's saying. He's saying that the agendas change as people get further, but he recognizes that in him.
What I'll say in defense of Donney is that I don't think you have to rock with politicians. I think you got to rock with their policies and what they're talking about and what they're saying they're going to do for our community or just the community in whole. You don't necessarily have to rock with them. I'm your best friend.
And if it so happens to be cool, like
right.
then
I think it says a lot when someone like Donney doesn't care for politicians and they get behind somebody like Doc,
Yeah, it's a big
because
deal.
you know
It's a
that
big deal.
they never mess with
Yeah.
it because they wasn't somebody that cares. So if somebody like Donnie standing up for somebody like Doc is saying, "Whoa, Donnie don't know like politicians.
That's
He don't
big.
rock with politicians."
That's huge.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's huge when you go to vote and it's like, all right. And you don't know how many people you can inspire that didn't care about voting
Yeah.
to vote because you never cared about it because of how you viewed it.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
and
that's what I'm saying, push those people all the way
what I
through.
believe in overall is that you have to vet
Mhm.
the people who are running for your office, right? You have to vet politicians.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
In this particular case, I've known this man for upwards of 15 years. So I don't necessarily have to vet his pedigree because I know who he is as a person.
You know the resume.
But what I do want to say, and I want to encourage all your listeners, you know, in saying this, is that we often get sidebarred by the idea of representation and identity. You know what I mean? And so identity is not always enough. You have to be able to vet who are the people who need to be in a position. Like right now, there's a black woman that is looking to run against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for her office. A Republican black woman who is like a staunch Trump supporter. Yes, we share the same identity ethnically.
But you
We
not
don't.
for us.
We don't share the same ideals.
Right.
So, sorry, sis, but if I was living in New York, you wouldn't get my vote.
Right. Mine either.
Well, with that being said, we already know about the things that you've been doing in the community. And as, you know, a member of the Reserve, man, I can say that we definitely support you. And we're going to continue to support you
That's
throughout the
love. I
process.
appreciate it.
And we'll definitely be at some of those fundraising events too.
Yeah, I gotta get y'all out, man.
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
With that being said,
$1, $5.
I got the good time events.
that being said, y'all, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with more right after this. All right, everybody, we are back. We just gonna keep it rolling, man. So, Izzy, I know you've been dying to talk about this, man.
Talk to me. I'm here. Let's go.
He ready.
We saw Red Stick Social come
Yes.
out with the new dress code.
Yes.
Then they walked it back and
Yes.
came out to
No, you can't
apology.
walk it back. I mean, you said what you said. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, what really is an apology? You already put forth how you felt about everyone. You wanted the world to know. You wanted to put this energy out there. Keep that same energy. You apologize. It doesn't help me.
Yeah.
Because you made a mistake. Because you don't like the reaction to it. But that's exactly how you felt.
Yeah.
And it made me feel a certain way. And I want the community and the public to know this is exactly how they feel about you.
I saw an event on Facebook where people was like, you know, basically dress how you didn't want you to dress and show up Friday.
I
Whoa,
can say this about that. So the one and only time I went there, 225 Magazine does a monthly event called Hot Off the Press.
Okay.
So 225 did a Hot Off the Press shortly after Red Stick Social opened
With Mike Foster.
with the Michael Foster Project.
Okay.
Right. Went there, it was damn near about 300 people in that joint.
Okay.
And of course, people came after work, so people would dress either semi-professionally, casually, whatever, what have you. So I'm gonna say this in the interest of the fact that I have been in 225 Magazine a couple of times. But to keep it 100, the idea is when a certain entity invites the public out, there's a perception of what type of people will be there.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And not just what type of people, but if you get really specific from an ethnic standpoint, what type of black folks will be there.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to assess the amount of the quote unquote type of black person that may even be privy to the idea that 225 is doing that. Right?
Right.
So if I come through there as someone who is, you know, very openly black, but who has been embraced by like elements of like the white liberal artistic community, if I come through there with a cap on and a tee, it's like, well, Donnie represents a level of safety, right? But if one of my mentees who works there came there on his off day dressed the same way, it's like, well, we don't really know. We don't know about that cat. You know what I mean? And so even and that kind of speaks to a larger societal thing in Baton Rouge, where certain black folks are deemed as quote unquote safe,
Acceptable.
and your cousins, your godbrothers, your family members, people you may like live next to, are not, you know, considered in that same fashion. And so what we have to do, what we have to really kind of consider is like, what lines will we draw? So if something is not acceptable for my brother, is it acceptable for me?
Yeah.
Let me tell you why it didn't offend me. Because we do it amongst ourselves. We promote parties. When we promote parties, we host events. We give those same guidelines. We give those same guidelines to our people. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying the wording was right. When we want to have an upper echelon party, we basically, when we do biscuits and bourbon, we have to go educate people what's acceptable or how they can dress and how they can't. Don't we?
Yeah.
But
We give a guideline on the dress code. It may not be in those words, but we basically have to put pictures out there. And I'm not defending them by any means on that, but we just have to quit thinking that everything is.
Well, here's my core.
But I mean, it is though. I mean, I understand your point. I understand you're talking about a high-end event, but if you have an established, it's a bowling alley. Now, if you're having a certain event, I get you. You know, you tell them you have a certain dress code. It's a bowling alley, man. And I'm looking at the dialogue. I'm looking at the language and the dress code right now, and it's just blatantly offensive to me. And this is in writing.
Why don't you read the?
I would love to. I would love to read what Rested Social posted, and they said,
I just pulled it up.
to enhance the entertainment experience of our guest, appropriate attire is required. All guests should be neatly groomed. Collared shirts are suggested for gentlemen. No hats, clothing, or jewelry with offensive imagery or language. Any article of clothing or accessory indicative of gang affiliations is inadmissible.
No ham boning.
No, listen, sagging is not allowed. Clothing that is overly revealing is inappropriate. Argumentative, unsafe, threatening, hostile, rude, or offensive behavior toward our staff will not be tolerated. So I mean, when you're thinking about like gang affiliation, go ahead. I'll let you speak.
So let me ask you this.
Talk to me. I'm here.
Because I said it earlier. I didn't have an issue with every single rule on here.
But I have an issue with some.
Yes, I do have an issue with some because I feel like some are very subjective. And a person who's not from our culture may find certain things offensive that really aren't offensive. Like, I could wear a Malcolm X hat or a Malcolm X shirt or t-shirt, and somebody who's white might find that offensive.
100%.
I'm sorry.
No. So, I do think they made a mistake, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and say that like everything they put on this list is like crazy.
Let me correct you on one point.
Hostile is subjective.
Because we're thinking, all right, because if you go down airline, what's the bowling on airline?
Don Carter's.
Don Carter's. They don't have those rules because it's only a bowling alley. Red Stick is more than a bowling alley. It's a full restaurant.
Okay.
It's event space.
Okay, it's a full restaurant event space, so you shouldn't wear hats in an event space or full restaurant. You shouldn't wear your shirts. You wear a lot of restaurants. So you can't wear a t-shirt in a restaurant. Or
a lot of restaurants do have rules on how you can dress when you go in there.
The issue wasn't the shirts. It's the offensive part, because what's offensive to one person might not be offensive.
And case in point.
Listen, Hell's Angels is one of the biggest gangs in the world. They're not going to stop me from my Hell's Angels shirt.
Right now,
I'm offended. So it's offensive to me.
But right now, both Izzy and I have on shirts that say "Black Out Loud."
It's offensive. This could be gang affiliated.
Exactly.
I'm gang affiliated.
So that's what.
So I can't get in the restaurant because I'm a two-time. I got 2 strikes. I have a t-shirt. Wait, 3 strikes. I have a t-shirt, a cap, and I'm gang affiliated because I'm Black Out Loud right now. So I really can't get in there. So I'm very offended. I have on, like, there's the stress in my denims as well. And this is my thing. Like, if you have your issues, if you have your concepts, if you have your norms and stigmas, you cannot get mad with somebody when you put this in writing. You can get and I know there's people in this room who know this facility and they know this establishment. I've never been to Red Stick Social, but my opinion of Red Stick Social has already been established. Okay, and if you look at the stigma of Louisiana with all the places that we've been kicked out of just by our dress code, by the certain things we wore, by the tennis shoes we wore, my money spends the same, but yet and still you don't want it there because of my attire, because I might wear an Air Jordan, or because my jeans might be a 34 and yours a 29. okay, because my jeans might fall a little bit off my waist. How does that deter me? I'm very offended, but I'm offended you because this is what I wear. It's wrong, and it's been in this culture, and especially in this city, far too long, and I just feel disrespected about it. Now, I know some people in here who have gone to this establishment and they will defend it, but a person from the outside looking in, I wouldn't want my enemy in there. That's how I feel, because they felt a need to not only tell people, but to put this in writing to let you know you are not accepted if you have on gang affiliated material. You are not accepted if you don't wear a collar. You are not accepted if you don't wear a hat. That is offensive.
Let me ask you a question.
Talk to me.
Just playing devil's advocate. This is for everybody in the room. Everybody can answer it. So if you owned your own business, I know you might not put this in writing, but would you have in your head those same type of rules?
You 100% would not want that same type of thing in your establishment.
Like based on.
But how would you say that though? And this is okay. So you heard he just said. He said I would 100%. But guess what? If it's not in writing, you don't know that.
Like I'm not saying that.
It's suggestive, like he was saying. It's all subjective.
So it's just devil's advocate. So I'm asking.
And this is why I said that there was never a problem. Black people have been going there since it's been open since April 15th. This is just now coming out because they evidently just having problems with it. Black people been in there daily since.
Did something happen?
Evidently something happened. Something had to have happened between the management change and between something since April 15th. You have never heard nothing about this, nothing like this about Red Stick Social. Because evidently,
but we can all agree there's okay. So let me just say one point. We can all agree there's a stigma in Louisiana. Once the dress code changes, you know that's directed at. It's not directed at white people. So we all know that stigma in Louisiana. So if you are in management in an establishment in Louisiana, someone should have told you or notified you that we cannot put these rules in place because of systemic racism in nightclubs in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Period. But let me it was that someone dropped the ball. And they should be punished for it. I'm not going to sit up here and make excuses. You know what goes on in this city. The management should know what goes on in this city. So they should be punished for what goes on with this kind of account.
You can't. How do you be punished? Because let me tell you something.
I think you're just making excuses for them, though. You're really making because it shouldn't have been in writing. You should have told them something shouldn't have been in writing.
No, I can't. How am I going to tell somebody?
Okay, but you're defending them right now, and they're wrong, though.
What I'm telling you is whether they would have dropped it in the beginning. Or they would have dropped it right now, black people still would have been offended. We would have been offended regardless because it would have been like it's Tigerland all over again. Tigerland had this in place for I don't know how long, and black people still flock to Tigerland.
That doesn't make it right, though. That doesn't just because we went back because we wanted. That doesn't make it right. And if you think about what was going on in 2005 and 2019, you should try to make improvements. There's been many advancements. There's been new movements. There's been Me Too. We did the Oscar So White thing, and we stopped that from happening, and they've made adjustments. So why can't they do it in Baton Rouge? Why do they feel that we can still disrespect my community by putting in this racist just rhetoric constantly over and over because they think it's okay and it's not. And you are saying that it's okay. No, you are saying because if you have a business, you would feel, no, it's not okay. You cannot put this in writing. Now, if you feel that way, it's perfectly okay. You feel that way, it's perfectly okay. And I'm going to let you talk.
I words on my mouth now, but by you saying that this is directed at black people, you're saying black people are the only ones that sag. You're saying black people are the only ones that dress inappropriately. Because I've witnessed them putting a white woman out with too little dress on that was offending kids and their family bowling. I personally witnessed that. That's not just directed at black people. If you're taking your 5-year-old bowling and there's a woman right next to you with a dress like this coming up, with her thong up, you're not going to be comfortable there with your child right there.
Well, what I'll say is, in my personal opinion, I think most of the rules on the dress code is directed at black people.
Thank you.
I will say that yes, there might be a white person that may be called out or kicked out because of one of these rules, but I would think that like when you talk about gang affiliation.
Thank you.
To me, offensive. When like I said, I brought the Malcolm X example. Like a white person really might think a Malcolm X hat is offensive.
100%.
But they might not necessarily think of, you said a Hell's Angels shirt or whatnot.
That's a gang affiliated shirt, but I can get in with that.
But they might not necessarily find that offensive.
I also want to point out the specific geography of where that place is located. Right. And the fact that it runs adjacent to Spain Street.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is essentially like in a hood area.
Right.
You know, and so you also have to take that into consideration when you're talking about what things are appropriate and what things are not. When I first went to Red Stick Social, the first thing I thought about was like, man, this is an elaborate entertainment complex, smack dab in the hood. What it looks like is a precipice for some gentrification.
It's already coming. Stuff's being bought around there.
Right.
What I'm going on to say is, we have to sit back and analyze everything. I'm close to there, and I may know a little more about it than you do, because I witnessed the employees that work there, that's from the hood around there. They don't tell these guys they can't hang out. They dress just how they dress when they're on the street, when they're off the clock, or when they're on the clock. They come to work in their uniform, but they're allowed to hang out after. They don't tell them that you can't be out here embarrassing us or nothing. And they dress how they would dress if they was on the corner. I see it daily. They don't push these men off to the back. They don't say go in the kitchen. They don't say you can't be up here like this. They go hang out. They allow them to be who they are. And I don't find a problem with somebody establishing certain guidelines for stuff to keep the vibe of everything. Yes, the words were very jacked up.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Izzy, I feel like the issue between y'all is the fact that they put it in writing and they made it public, and then some of these things are just very subjective. Is that your main issue?
Okay, I'm just gonna say, like, okay, this is my thing. You gotta understand, guys. You gotta understand. Like, I'm gonna use this as an example. Okay, hypothetically, it's one of those situations where perception is reality. You have to just understand that situations, whether you're guilty or innocent, if it's painted a certain way in society and you put that energy out there, that's going to be the perception. Right. That's a very racist perception. Okay, Shagari, he's very close to this establishment. I totally understand his position. I'm going to use this example. Okay, hypothetically, your father. Okay, you know your father. Your father does a great job for your family. He provides for them every day. He puts clothes on his backs. He gets in an argument with his mom. He hits his mom. Let's say that makes national news. Now, he knows his mom. He knows his family. He knows what's the argument. He's close to it. But when the public hears black man batters wife, that's what we're going to see. And that's all we have. Right. Okay? So I'm going in from an outside looking in position. He's going in from an inside looking in. What about my father did this? He did this. He's sweating. He had a bad day. Once it hits the public, it's over with. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how close you are to it. I mean, and you have to set that example that, listen, when you make a mistake like this, it can never happen again. And that's why you have to make a loud uproar. That's why it's kind of just like the same thing. I have friends that are police officers, okay? And I have friends that are police officers who defended Alton Sterling getting shot because they're police officers. Well, if you look at the police way, I'm like, man, it's wrong. But no, the way the police taught, whatever you're close to, of course you're going to defend. But when it hits the public, when we saw that video, no matter what any police officer told me, wrong is wrong to me. And once they put this in writing, it was 100% wrong. Now, if you just said discretion only and it was no verbiage and you were turning around people, I could understand that. So it is the verbiage. But once it's out there, it's out there and the fire's been set.
Now, in regard to what you just said, not necessarily this particular topic, but what I personally didn't like about what you just said is that just because something goes public and it spreads, that it's necessarily right without actually.
I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying that it's, listen, a lie spreads perception.
Yeah.
I'm saying
that unaddressed in 24 hours becomes the truth.
It's the truth. It's 100% the truth.
I'm gonna tell you, for me, what was more suspect than that was the retraction. Because now, when you retract the statement, what you're essentially saying is, this may look bad for business. So let's pull it.
It never should have got out there.
What I have to say on that is, I think you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
No, you're not damned if you don't. If you're not damned if you don't, it shouldn't have went out there.
Because you put it out there in writing, and that's his point.
But no, I'm saying
you damned if you do. You put it out there in writing, you're damned if you don't. So you shouldn't retract it. So you can't.
And I agree. It should have stayed because it looked bad that you took it back. But whether you apologize or not, we still gonna feel how we felt about it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and if they didn't apologize, we gonna say you didn't apologize.
And I think what Izzy is speaking to, like, we're gonna feel the way we felt because there is a history of establishments doing this, right? And so the reason why I've never been to Fred's or Reggie's a day in my life, but the reason why I don't have any quote unquote issue with them. Because they've kept the same energy all along. But they've let you know from
100%. But every spot
this is how we rock it.
Right, absolutely.
And there is no pulling back. It's like we don't want
your kind
down here.
But we don't want your kind.
And that's why I've never freaking to those places either, like the Fred's or Reggie's or the Tiger Land. I didn't rock with that.
But Red Stick Social's doing the same thing though.
But I'm gonna ask you, did you feel that when you went there?
When I went to Red Stick Social?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you I did not, and I will tell you a couple of reasons why. One of which, So one of the employees that you talked about was a young man that I mentored in an after school program that works there, right? But I will also cycle back to my original point on that. The main reason why I didn't feel, ostracized or isolated was because there was the biggest arts, entertainment, cultural, white-owned magazine in town was the one that put the event on. And so I went there as a quote-unquote guest of 225 magazine. So now, I did not feel ostracized or isolated because as far as they're concerned, if I was a reputable enough Negro to know about this by way of 225,
Be affiliated with it.
then I should have been there.
You're one of the good ones. That's their saying. You're one of the good ones.
What I want to do is I want.
But you can sag. You're one of the good
What
ones.
I want to do is I want to invite both of you over there for a day, and talk to the employees that work there who feel like they were wrongly attacked, that they're going to be out of jobs because they're not going to have a place to work because it's going to fail because the community unfairly attacked it. You can go talk to the employees of the place and say they got a bad rep.
No,
because they severely care, and I'm coming from both sides. I'm coming from a black man as a business owner that's in vicinity, and as a black person that's looking on what's done there, and the other black employees. They employ a lot of people out of that neighborhood that we're talking about is affected. That's not letting in. They employ I swear to God, it's like 80 to 90% black people, and they all were upset today that they felt like their place of employment got a bad rep, and that they are not going to have a job because people are not going to want to go there. And especially with the bowling alley at the mall and stuff opening, we have to take into effect all of that. Y'all don't even know the demographic of the workforce there.
No.
If y'all crumble that, y'all crumble a lot of black jobs.
I've been there and I've seen it, so I am familiar. But let me also say this: what they have also done is establish a setting and a space where many white Baton Rougeans will feel comfortable going there.
Absolutely.
And so here's
they
the
pick
thing.
their side.
Here's the thing. Like if every black potential occupant or patron of that place decided not to go, it could still thrive, it could still survive. Just strictly off of white patronage by itself. Like, we have seen venues throughout this city that have gotten a bad rap racially that have not closed doors. Because there's been a contingency of white folks going there and patronizing their space, right? I think that the thing that's tricky in this particular case is, again, goes back to the geography of where it's located.
It's got a lot of black people that, a lot of white people on the Facebook group you're talking about of boycotting, and a lot of people saying they're going to attend that. White people were some of the most outraged on
I think
on the thing as well.
So one of my homies was talking about this earlier on Facebook, and I do have to kind of like mention this as a counter to that. There is a difference between online outrage and real life outrage. So there are people that, for the purpose of maybe the people who are around them, will post something like, "I am so offended," and they will pull up there on a Friday in their collared shirt.
I just want to say this.
Hashtag activists.
I just want to say this, and I don't want anyone to feel like I'm attacking them. I don't want anything, and I know people in this room are very close to this establishment for the right reasons, for the economic growth of that area, for the people that work there, that you're very close to the people in this situation. But I mean, you also have to pay the piper when you make a mistake of this magnitude. Right.
And it's certain things. I think they're going to be hurt.
And I don't want you to sit up here and think I'm not trying to just alienate or attack this venue. But when you make a mistake of this magnitude, I need you to know the gravity of the situation you've done. I don't want this to just be slid over or passed over. I don't want any black person to lose their job. But once you put this out here, I don't want you to ever forget how detrimental and how back you've taken us to just bad memories. Like, I still have memories of getting turned away at certain clubs because I might have he can wear Chuck Taylors because he's okay. He can wear his shorts, but you can't wear those. You can't wear those Air Jordans. I know they're both sneakers. I mean, that hurts someone.
Well,
City boy.
Your Levi's are too baggy.
Right, your Levi's,
but his jeans are
fine.
cool.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's my point. Like it's really bigger than Red Stick Social. Like, they might have had a point in what they were doing, and he said he sponsored high-end events. I totally understand dress codes, but if you're going to run an establishment like this, you need to understand the aura that you are betraying by putting out this sign. You should have some kind of knowledge. So I know you are protecting, or I know you're trying to say the right things for the younger people, but someone still needs to pay for a mistake this large.
I think they're going to pay for it economically. The bad press alone, they're going to pay for it because they have people already saying boycotting them. And with I forgot what we were talking about earlier. With somebody was upset with the amount of time that it takes them to get. They've been getting hurt by bad press daily on the amount of. We was there a few weeks ago,
right.
And it took forever for the food to come. So they're continuously paying for mistakes. So they're making mistake after mistake. That's why they have such a high turnover. And this was another bad mistake.
What I really want to say is that there are tangible ways to make amends, right?
Right.
When the incident happened at Starbucks about a year ago in Philadelphia, when the police were called on a black man for being at Starbucks, what Starbucks decided to do was shut down their stores for a particular period, like a day, and strictly deal with like racial training around racial equality, right? Some people may have been like, well, that was just like a PR move, or whatever. The point is, that was a tangible measure of trying to get something done. And so, for Red Stick Social, they may not necessarily suffer a real drop-off in patronage, but if they want to appropriately make amends, it goes beyond a faint apology, right? They have to for whatever they need to do, from a PR standpoint or from a I actually feel this way standpoint. Here's a tangible measure beyond just we got black employees, because keep it 100. Yeah, they employ black folks, but what are those folks? What are their wages?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like. One of the brothers who was there working, like I said, I know that cat, and I've been knowing him since he was 15 years old. Right. He doesn't have that high of an education. He might be getting $7 an hour to work there. And so when you're saying that, you got an 80% black workforce and they're getting X amount of money on minimum wage, but this venue is bringing in tons and tons of revenue or has the capacity to do so, it kind of doesn't matter. Right. You know what I mean? To a certain extent, it does not matter, because who in the hell else is going to work there at those wages?
My point of that wasn't maybe not the amount of black workforce there or that the wages perhaps, but it's about the treatment. Because I worked at a place that didn't allow you as a black man, and I worked at a place when I was younger that didn't allow you to hang out just because of you might be black or how you look or how you dress. They didn't want their certain demographic hanging around, mixing and mingling with the customers. They don't have that rule. It's a family fun place. It's you can be you. You can go there and be as long as you're not causing a problem. They good with it. That was my only thing, was it didn't feel like that, because, and like you said, it's a young hood demographic around there, and a lot of the dudes that work there straight out the hood, and they hang out. That's who they are, with their family and their friends. I've seen tons of them bring their family in there, and they not tell them nothing. Grand opening night, you saw how many different families was in there. You saw how many different, and it's people that
it was a diverse crowd.
It was very diverse, and they didn't tell them. And it's their families, and they go in there and they hang out like that all the time. And they don't tell them nothing. They don't shun them. So that's why I feel strongly about that, because I've sat amongst them and felt that they don't treat it like that. Because you know when you're not wanted somewhere.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
The moderator steps in.
Look, there's no one black line of thought. I believe y'all have heard every side that you can hear. Make up your own minds. Go there, don't go there. It don't really matter to me. But we got to move on.
I ain't making no money out the deal.
And I haven't been, so I'm not missing nothing out of the way. So we cannot have a whole podcast with the hip hop doc here and not ask you what's your top 5 MCs.
Top 5 MCs. And so it's very personal, because I've read this debate. Y'all
it's
know the
supposed to be personal.
He about to say die-line.
Other than myself, oh, come on, man. I'm old school, man. I'm from that golden era. So, of course, Biggie, Pac, Nas, Big L. Most of y'all probably know about Big L.
Don't play with
that. I just make sure y'all on point. And so there's always the debate with me about Jay and Rakim. I mean,
I was
Jay-Z's body work is just, come on, he got just flawlessly. A lot of. But Rakim's bars just ridiculous. So I'm gonna tell y'all quickly about my hip hop history. I'm at Wildwood playing basketball. I'm 18 years old. Partner had the boombox. Yes, we boombox with the cassette tape playing.
Yeah.
And it's na 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 na. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
So I've been through the whole, because I really at that time thought that Sugar Hill Gang was popcorn. Like I just, even then I had the impression like that's not like what I felt like was hip hop.
Right. Yeah.
And so to hear Rakim spitting over How Can I Move the Crowd, first of all, ain't no mistakes at all. Like we sat there like, bro, you could just imagine with them tight ass shorts, sitting on the basketball just around the boombox, about 12 of us, just like, man, who is this? What is this?
Yeah.
So a partner of mine had gone to New York and brought the cassette tape back for the 2-deck boombox that he carried on his neck, like Radio Raheem. And so that was my foundation of hip hop. Just briefly, storytelling. Biggie just talk stories. Pac with passion. Nas just flawless bars. He's terrible performance though. I just keep it real. He forgets lyrics and performance. I've seen that. Jay-Z again, body of work. But if you go back to Hard Knock Life, I mean that's when he was really just spitting. That's when I thought he was really hungry. Of course I got tons of honorable mentions in that thing. Big L, lyrical wizardry. I mean just sick with it. You know what I'm saying? Just putting bars together, just crazy. And of course, like I said, Rakim. So man, that's my top 5.
Give us your
honorable mentions.
Fonte.
616?
Yeah, I'll
give us a hot 8,
616. Man, I'll give you some in a second. But honorable mentions, believe it or not, man, little brother. But I mean, I know this group of Fonte because I can sing like Fonte. Fonte's right in my range. C range. Yeah, man, honorable Fonte. Man, come on, you can't sleep on DJ Quick. NWA as a group, I mean, man, it's just so many, bro. I just literally just bought myself a DJ controller, and a partner of mine, his father owned Bowie's Record Shop, gave me a hard drive with over 100 and something thousand songs. Dang. So I actually let it download and analyze all the songs. So I got a plethora of music from probably the 1950s to like right around 2002.
Yeah.
And all I gotta do is type a name and it's just popping up stuff. So I had J. Rue the Damage on the other day, you know what I'm saying? Just some old school stuff, just vibing off of it. So yeah, bro, I mean, it's cool. And I call myself the hip hop doc, but honestly, guys, my favorite genre of music is reggae. And I didn't admit it, some of y'all never told no folks. But yeah, that's it, man. That's my top 5, man. So I'm just trying to clop or grip the legal way, the rap, the boom, the bap. I need the bass. Every second of my life connected to this culture. Birth of my daughter, going to the altar. You get it, you got it, you live it, you love it. It's real. This is NWA. This is Lauryn Hill. This is Dre and the Chronic. This is Biggie and Armani. This is Tribe. This is Onyx. This is 50. This is Outkast. For the lost and the outcast. We out here because we out here living life without fear. This is for the lineage of Tupac, Kung Fu Kenny, and the one they call the Sixth God. What up, Hurt? What up, Drake? What up, Bambaataa? You hear Apache in the sample, you know where we got it. This is for the legacy of my unknown little brother, Tim James, Nasir Jones. D1 is my brother from another. I respect and I'm lover. I'm like, what up, Webby? Shout out my whole city. We swerve, we ride so you can ride on with me. This is for the lineage and pedigree. Cut from this cloth, what it better be. Never chase the fame or celebrity. Always keep the love and integrity. Yo, say one time for the love of it. One time if you got it out the mud for it. We gonna keep it going like it never stopped. Keep it moving to the rhythm of this hip hop. That's my 16.
Dog, because he spit high five.
High five.
Man,
Yeah, who's going next? They top 5.
come on, you still looking, Donney. What's the top 5?
You do top 5 hip hop or top 5 poets?
Nah. I'm
You gotta do top 5 hip hop.
I'm
We
keep
MCs.
it on brand. So for me, and maybe whether it's debatable top 5 or not, 2 of my favorite MCs of all time. One is the talented Mr. Trotter, aka Black Thought of the
Man, he came with
No arguments here?
He started
That's one.
No arguments here?
Number 2 is a young man by the name of Andre Benjamin, aka Andre 3000.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Outkast.
Bars.
Right?
Bars.
Those 2 dudes, literally, if they were not a part of groups, would probably be on everyone's top 5.
Oh yeah.
But Andre's still on everyone's top 5.
Like,
though. Andre's still
Black Thought on
like
my top 5.
Black Thought will out rap any of your favorite rappers. That's just a thing. He will.
On some spontaneity type
he
stuff.
He is a technically perfect MC. Vocally, bar, he's technically perfect. So there's those 2. I will also say Nas. I will also say, when she's rapping, Lauryn Hill.
Yeah, Lauryn Hill's incredible.
Real
When
quick,
she
guys,
rapping.
I went to the concert, took the wife front row seats.
Was she on time?
She should.
Not only was she on time,
Yeah, I was there.
bruh, it was
amazing. It was electric,
It was. I mean, like I ain't know my wife was there for about 2 hours. Like real talk, bro. I was just mesmerized with her. She was in the crowd. She was actively sick. With a rag, wiping her nose, running her nose. I talked to her after we took pictures with her.
Yeah.
Like, baby, you need some echinacea, vitamin C. Like, but she was the real deal. She was on time. Case closed. I'm done talking about it.
Yeah,
My
so
bad, Don. I had to shout that out.
I would say Black Thought, Andre, Nas, Lauren. I guess I would say probably round out with Jay, but I also want to put an asterisk.
Wow.
We all got
Asterisks on Jay?
Hey, wait. Let him explain.
Yeah, I just disagree on every level.
Well, when Nas said how much of Biggie's rhymes gonna come out your fat lips, like that was a real thing.
Yeah.
But how many albums did Jay-Z drop and how many lines did he take? Can you go and quote them all?
Oh.
Like, I mean, Jay-Z dropped a lot
He
of
dropped
work.
a lot of albums, but he also took a lot of lyrics. And you have to really like listen through the albums. And
I disagree
then
on every level.
Well,
Define a lot.
But this is what we're here for. We're here to debate our list.
You're very hostile tonight.
So there was
I never see this shit as angry.
so there was
Passionate, man. Passionate.
one of them joints off of Magna Carta, where it was just kind of it was a very subtle borrow, right? Because what Jay-Z masterfully did with his borrowing of Biggie lyrics is that he never took popular single songs. He took lyrics off of album cuts that if you did not listen to Biggie's discography, you would never know, right? Mm-hmm. Now, that's not saying that he has not put out a lot of original material,
Right.
but it is to say some of the things that we love Jay-Z for, like when the Remy's in the system, ain't no telling them.
We know that's a big lyric. I mean, that's paying homage, though. That's paying homage.
You're saying that.
But I mean, like, if Jay-Z would have dropped 2 albums, I totally understand what you're saying.
Well, look, I'm
gonna let you finish your list, though. I got time, so go ahead.
Well, look, I'm a Jay fan, but he not, like I heard the doc say something about perfection or something of that nature. He's not perfection.
No, I never said he was
said that about
perfection.
Black Thought.
Because Kingdom Come is like the most garbage album.
Nice. So Jay-Z in his album,
You had an asterisk
on
by
the Black-
Jay-Z?
on the
Like-
Black album, he acknowledges the fact that he takes lyrics from Biggie and he says he does it to honor Biggie.
Yeah,
Biggie.
but
I think you just have a Biggie bias, though. I think you're just attacking Jay-Z.
No,
Look at his career, man.
Listen,
Like, we're not even going to do this with Jay-Z, of all people.
Yeah.
Listen, he said it then, but he didn't stop then, right? Because a couple of albums later, when on the chorus of one of these songs, I think on Magna Carta, he's like, "Apologies in order, Blue Ivy, my daughter." He took that straight from a Biggie lyric and used it as a chorus from a song that was not popular by Biggie. So what
Okay, so he took.
I think it's okay in the chorus.
Thank you.
I think it's okay in the chorus.
Listen, you're really attacking Jay-Z for just paying homage to his friend. That was his brother. If Hip Hop Doc dropped the album and I dropped the album, I would probably take some of what I'm saying. And look what Jay-Z's taking some of Nas lyrics. That doesn't mean the asterisk. You can take this. You can't respect the God MC Jay-Z, man. But let me go to my list. Okay, so I'm gonna go top 5. And listen, my list is different from you guys. You guys respect bars, and I'm glad I have a different perspective. I love coming from a different
think
place.
Wayne about to
and
be
I
in
love
there.
You better throw some trap at us.
my list that invoked emotion from me. Rappers that I grew up with.
Okay.
Rappers that I knew.
I can feel
Rappers that taught me certain things that, you know, that I went, whoo. You know, if you go, whoo, when you hear a bar, when you just like, wait, hold up, let me pause
Hey
there.
man,
Let me run that back.
stop setting it up, man. Give us-
Because, you know, he went with, you know, my top MC list.
Bruh.
No asterisk. All right, so on my list, I'm gonna go with number 5. I'm gonna go with Lil Wayne.
Okay.
I think Lil Wayne's an incredible artist, an incredible on the head rapper, incredible. I mean, we can all say we all grew up with Lil Wayne.
Yeah,
I mean, from the Hot Boys, from Get It How You Live, to everything for his maturation to more mixtape Weezy is what we like to affectionately call him. Now, in his latter years, he kind of fell off, but when you think about the general body of work and how much music he actually put out, though, you can't disrespect Lil Wayne. Now, the latter part, he's really Michael Jordan in the Wizards jersey right now, but But in like right before Carter 3 dropped, he was untouchable.
Mike was good in the Wizards jersey though.
Listen, I'm the biggest Mike fan. We're gonna get off topic. All right, number four. Number 4, I'm gonna go with Drake. I think that Drake's. I think that Drake is one of the best artists, rappers ever, and he hasn't even peaked yet. I think that his quotables, Drake. Yes,
I gotta hit Drake 3 before I say anything.
All right, my number 3 would be Pusha T. Huge Pusha T fan. Since I was with the Clips, huge Pusha T. And like I said, this is my list, is no one else's list.
Come on, from the Clips. We respect that, man. I love it.
From songs like Virginia, from the Clips, from Oh My God. King Pusha.
We don't need your explanation. Pusha
Okay,
T.
I love Pusha T, man. One of the hardest and most consistent, and will always drop music from beginning to end. One of my favorite rappers, man. You know what I look like spending a night in jail. I could never be a thug. They don't dress this well. That's one of my favorite lines ever. I heard this line when I was like a freshman in college, and I still say it to this day. Music, rappers should evoke emotion. Number 2, of course, will be Kendrick Lamar. I said Kendrick Lamar before he's even popular. When I heard Section 80, I was like, he was incredible. Mm-hmm. The way he dropped lines, his verbiage, the way he could switch up his flow, his content on every level. What he was talking about when he made the song about Michael Jordan. Well, anyway, he was just quoting and saving Lil Wayne, but as you know, when he went to his content, when he dropped Good Kid, Mad City, that was a whole storybook of an album, and he could just display every kind of idea of content you wanted from a rapper. And of course, number 1, we all know who is, none greater, Jehovah, Sean Carter, the first billionaire, no asterisk, okay, no asterisk. The creator of Reasonable Doubt, the rapper who went to every rap label and they said he was trash, and now he's the greatest rapper of all time. There will never be a debate. There will never be a debate that Sean Carter's the greatest rapper alive.
Sean Carter knows better than Pac.
That will be a debate.
I think that Jay-Z
knows better than Pac.
I think that Jay-Z's better than Tupac. I said it. I said what I said.
He said to Drake.
Pusha T.
Pusha T.
Bruh.
That's my list, though. That's who raised me. I respect Tupac. I respect Tupac. No, look, he didn't. I couldn't really.
No.
I mean, I respect. No,
that's your list.
That's my list.
But when you start talking about,
it's not debatable.
I thought you were finna give me something like 8 Ball, Scarface, because he was like his personal.
Nah, they ain't raising.
That'll be in Houston's.
You said Pusha T.
Right. That would be Paul Wall and Lil Flip might say that. Yeah, DJ Screw. Yeah, he might say that. But I'm just saying my list, and that's why I wanted to come from left field. This is, and I want y'all list to be different. I'm not here to. It's not a popularity contest. It's not a popularity contest. But I just don't believe in the asterisk. And listen, y'all can all debate me about Drake, and y'all can see how y'all. And I told you, and I will understand y'all position.
He's your number 4. I know why Jay's your number 1.
To the list, and I totally respect that.
Jay-Z my number 1 too.
You don't defend me. Jay-Z the greatest rapper of all time.
Jay-Z my number 1.
It's not like I'm not saying nothing unpopular. I'm not trolling y'all. Jay-Z the greatest rapper of all time.
I kind of feel like you trolling for 225.
Jay not my number 1.
He's not my number 1.
Reasonable Doubt is my favorite album.
It's incredible body of work.
He
Jay is not my number 1.
Yeah. Jay-Z.
Reasonable Doubt is not my favorite album.
Jay-Z is. I will say this.
Let's get to the list because we're gonna get off topic. Let's go. Who's going next? Let's go. I don't want to keep it slow because y'all got on my ass.
I'll go quick. All right,
let's go.
You had a whole back.
I need y'all to know.
I'm gonna go Pac, Black Thought, Jay-Z,
Under 3,000.
No.
Nas. Typical. Nas. See, typical list. Let's go. Keep going.
I'm gonna mix it up.
Okay.
Big
Plot
Crit.
twist.
I put Big Crit.
On that.
I rock with Big Crit.
Big Crit's an incredible artist. Big Crit is an incredible artist.
I can agree with him.
Big Grit's an incredible artist. Big Grit's an incredible artist. Big Grit's an incredible artist.
Drake though, but yeah,
Drake's a lyricist. Drake's a monster. Okay. I mean, like I said, though, that's how it's supposed to be. But you got Big Grit, I got Drake. You know, we put a poll up. It doesn't matter. But let's go. See, that's your problem right there. You just try to assault the negatives and you don't think about the impact they had. You don't think about the memorable bars. Quentin Miller was known for one mixtape. Okay, Drake has created stuff before then. Drake has created stuff after then. Drake was known to be writing for Lil Wayne at one point when he dropped So Far Gone, which was a classic project. So if you want to attack him for 5 or 6 songs, I totally respect you and I applaud you for that. If you want to attack Jay-Z for taking 6 or 7 lines after dropping 14 #1 albums, I applaud you for that. But he's not Barry Bonds. Continue.
Let's see. Obviously, Biggie and Pop.
Biggie and Pac.
Sorry, Pac and Biggie.
You got
Biggie. But you got to pick one up there. You got to put one in. Is Biggie 1 or Biggie? Is Biggie 5 or Biggie 4?
That's why I corrected myself.
So it's Biggie 5, Pac 4.
No,
he's going 1 to
going down.
Okay, so Pac 1, Biggie 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I respect that.
Let's see. Who's next on?
You got some Southern.
Pimp C got to be on there.
You gotta put
If I know Harry Brown Jr., Pimp C on the
You
list.
got to put the whole group. You can't put Pimp without Bun.
Nah. If we was doing groups, then UGK would definitely be.
Oh, yeah, of course, man. We're doing groups. It's different.
So it's hard.
Let's see.
It's not hard.
I'm gonna go
You like who you like.
3 Stacks.
Okay. Excellent
Let's
choice.
see.
Nobody said Royce, man.
I love you. I was sitting over here trying to defy the logic, but I really love Big Crit, man.
I do. He's like the perfect combination
So
of
I'ma
everything
go-
from the
That's
South.
a good
So
choice,
I'm gonna
man.
accept Big Credit for, and this is my personal choice.
Yeah, it's all about you.
It's all about
Eight
you.
balls going 5.
There you go, man. That's your heart. Because I'm saying that's your list. That's what I like. Go with your list. Go with who impacted you.
Now I'm really interested in hearing his list.
Jay-Z #1, so it don't matter.
Wait, time out. I don't want to get too far off topic, but is Family Matters one of the best sitcoms? Is it better than Martin and Fresh Prince?
Hell no. Martin?
He said he
I like Family Matters
has
better than
consistently
Martin.
said that Family Matters
I like Family Matters better than Martin.
is better than
Fresh
Martin.
Prince is my favorite
I won't even
sitcom. Fresh Prince is my favorite.
I don't even go in like Izzy, but I'll debate
Go with your 5, man. Go with your 5. I want to move chairs. Let's switch chairs. Let's
So
say Family Matters.
this is
He
my
does like
top.
Family
This is
Matters better
I
than
do like
Martin.
Family Matters. I love it.
What about Family Matters? That's another episode for another
Drop
day.
your 5.
Drop your 5.
Drop your 5.
This is my 5 favorites. All right.
Jay-Z.
So Jay-Z is number 1.
Jay-Z,
This is the debate.
Hove, Sean Carter.
Pre-Kardashian Kanye spoke to me.
Oh, yeah, that first
Pre-Kardashian Kanye.
First 2
I'm
albums.
glad you said that. Said it that way.
I had to say pre-Kardashian
Yeah, but
because
you
he
good.
lost me for Yeezus.
Too good.
Pre-Yeezus Kanye was good to me. Biggie. I like J. Cole.
J. Cole, I'm surprised no one said J. Cole.
I like J. Cole.
J. Cole.
Sometimes, but I like him. I like his first presentation.
In my last one, my Dark Horse,
Hold on, I'm gonna tell you who it is.
I like Common.
MC Hammer.
Common.
I like Common.
Common's a great rapper.
respect
Common's a great
Common,
rapper.
man.
Common's a great
I
rapper.
respect Common.
I know. I respect Common.
This is the same man who said that Family Matters is better than Martin.
The only thing wrong with Family Matters is that Urkel chased Laura and didn't
No, that's not.
settle
It
with
was a lot wrong.
Myra was better.
Hey,
That's
It
the
was
one
a
thing
lot
with
wrong with
Family
Family
Matters.
Matters.
after he
Step on
started,
that curl.
after he started saying that, I be having to like double check in my
I
mind,
can't take it
like,
seriously.
cause like I don't be respecting. Is what he's saying?
Chilling
make
and
sense
Island, are you
or not?
serious?
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what?
Come on, man.
That's cool, man. Y'all don't have to agree. And also, I think Michael Jordan with the Wizards did some good stuff.
He did. He did.
Uno.
Oh, you good? I'm good. Yeah, I got
Okay, I respect
We
Pop.
got Pop.
Okay, we got Pop.
We got Nas.
Okay, now.
We got Jay-Z.
Okay.
We got Andre.
Okay.
Then we got Eminem.
Can we
I know
go
one
real
thing.
quick?
I know Eminem killed Jay-Z.
Still got
One song. What is he doing
It
now?
don't matter. Sorry, black community, y'all gonna hate me, but you know, bigger than hell.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So
No
we have
second, no
a nuclear
affiliation.
winter, right?
Yeah.
All of us die. And all the people that's hid in the trenches in the dust, and they come up and they come out and they starting to grow again, and they gonna start searching for albums and stuff. They
So
gonna
Far
find-
Gone's gonna be the
They're
first
gonna
thing they look
find.
for.
They're gonna find an Eminem CD. They're gonna find a
throw it away.
DJ I Am a mixtape and be like, these are the coldest two. And what I hate about it is if a white boy make a pass just as good as a black boy, we go bananas.
It's not-
over it.
it's not-
Hold on, So we go bananas over this shit. I'm sorry. We go bananas over this stuff when a white guy does something, when a black guy brought it to town. But we always give him credit. So Eminem, yeah, he's nice with it. He's nice with it.
It's
He's
not-
nice with
it's
it. But they
not
have so many. Royce the 5'9" will tear him up. There's
not-
so many other guys that's so much nicer than these cats.
He nicer than him, but he ain't make a run like him. And we don't. And it's
Wait.
But no,
He was able to make a run that Royce couldn't make.
But no,
because
I'm
of-
saying no.
Royce will eat Eminem.
And Jay-Z, it's got people that eat Jay-Z up
No,
that they
Jay-Z
have
made
made some
his-
run.
made-
Jay-Z made his land. Who ate him
I'm
up?
saying people are always.
Are y'all saying that Eminem is garbage?
No,
No,
we're not saying Jay-Z.
are we saying that people are always rightfully where they're supposed to be? Because Black Thought will eat Jay-Z out the frame. But why is Jay-Z bigger than Black Thought? Why is Jay-Z bigger than Black Thought? But Black people don't want to hear what Black Thought got to hear. Jay-Z make commercial music.
So what do y'all think that Eminem belongs on the list?
Top 10. Top 10. White Chocolate. Little dude, he got nice little hoop skills. That guy brothers been doing that. But he gets credit. Oh, this white boy, he cold.
All about where y'all are coming from, or what y'all are saying about his whiteness or whatever.
Black Out Loud
But-
campaign. Conference.
But I also want y'all to think about if y'all not giving that man his due because of his whiteness.
So this is what I was saying. I was talking about
Please
this
help, Don,
accident.
because
He gonna wrap it up.
I'm
I actually was talking
Wrap
about
it
this
up.
last night.
not articulating it correctly.
So here's the thing about Eminem. Lyrically, Eminem is one of the most skilled rappers to ever touch.
No
the
doubt.
mic.
No question.
All right. But what Eminem did was pull back the curtain for a lot of Americans, and what I mean by that is that Eminem showed the dregs and poverty of white trash.
Yes.
And so what that did was resonate with a wide swath of people because prior to him, you think of the white rappers before him. There were the Beastie Boys, there was Vanilla Ice, there was Snow, there was a couple of different people, right?
Right.
Prior to him, first of all, there was never a white rapper as skilled. Secondly, there was never a white rapper to pull back the curtain around this idea of white poverty and white trash. So what that did, it made him like an interesting, salacious character.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we keep it 100, the people that he was running with, mainly Royce the 5'9", are of equal playing field artistically.
Mm-hmm.
But Royce talking about being from distressed Detroit, and Eminem talking about being from 8 Mile and from Trailer Park background, it resonates completely different. Because now you have a whole legion of young white folks. It's like, damn, I never heard anybody tell my story of this. Cool, right? He tapped into that market, so he got that respect. He also got the respect from a lot of brothers like this guy can spit, right? He also got like the accolade of going after pop stars. So when you combine all this stuff up, there's a reason that he's one of the top selling MCs. But I want to go back to something that Izzy said. The reason why Eminem can never fall anywhere within my realm of top anything, because he don't make music I can feel. He makes music I might be impressed by.
Right.
Like I might be like, yo, that's some interesting rhyme schemes that you're doing. I don't feel that shit. You know what I mean?
But that's a personal thing.
Well,
That is a personal thing. I'm speaking purely lyrically, how he puts his runs together. It's very.
But even that's personal though.
You cannot deny him lyrically.
And
when we say
my whole entire point
it's an artistry of what you can't deny him as an artist as
my
putting
whole entire
it
point
together.
is
Actually, you can. It's personal.
my whole entire point is you can't say that it's ludicrous for this man to have
didn't say it was
him
ludicrous.
as his number 5.
Yeah, no, I mean,
It's one thing if this man say Vanilla Ice and you like, man, Vanilla Ice white. That's the only reason why you got him on your list. This man is objectively one of the top MCs.
The thing is,
Dr. Doc, we got the word from the doctor. He's at least a top 10 MC.
when we are talking personal preference, it is.
I went off on like a personal note. I have no disrespect against Eminem. Eminem is an extraordinary artist, and it kind of like snowballed from there because I just get loud for no reason sometimes. And when they picked it up, it seemed like we were attacking Eminem. I have no issue with him being on his list. He's no issue being on his list. He says one of the great rappers of all time. I didn't say
Donnie is so
white.
disgusted right now.
I didn't say, listen, Kill You by Eminem and Superman are two of my favorite songs of all time. But Renegade is an extraordinary verse. Eminem's one of the greatest lyricists of all time. But when he said it, it was like, whoa, it was just a shock moment. And I want to apologize.
Nope, we come back with our black prominent figure. And we gonna give it to you right after this. All right, everybody, we're back with our black prominent figure. Who do you have for us, brother?
Let me share this, guys. So about a month after Alton Sterling was killed, I created a page on Instagram called The Day After 2019. And of 2016, I'm sorry. We were planning on doing a documentary and just life pulled away from it. But I post I call it American history. It's not Black history, American history, because it's happening in America. There's some stuff that's not happening. So let me just read this briefly. Sadie Roberts Joseph was born in rural Mississippi. Her family moved to North Louisiana and settled in Baton Rouge. She had 11 siblings and grew up in the segregated South, giving her an inner strength that did not allow her to believe what people said and how they treated her. In 2001, she contacted church member Odell S. Williams, a retired school teacher. Williams amassed a collection of photos that cataloged the achievements of prominent blacks. She used them to educate the children she was teaching. The information was not included in the state-sanctioned curriculum, and she was prevented from using them. She hid the history and taught it anyway. After her retirement, the collection was put on display at the church. Seeing a need for a year-round acknowledgement of an institutionalized erasure of the black experience, Roberts Joseph made a plan. What started off as a display grew into a collection of art from the African diaspora and images of historical figures that fill a converted 1921 shotgun house that currently serves as a museum. The Odell S. Williams Now and Then African American History Museum is a nonprofit museum of black history located in Baton Rouge. It celebrates Juneteenth, Black History Month, and American history year-round. Roberts Joseph, a renowned advocate activist who had been hosting the city's Juneteenth celebration for years, was curator and founder of the only museum dedicated to African and black history in Baton Rouge. She would tell visitors, culture is the glue that holds our people together. Take a step back in time and leap into your future. She maintained the museum on her own. It features African art, exhibits on growing cotton, black inventors, and a 1953 bus from the period of civil rights boycotts in Baton Rouge. It has exhibits on President Barack Obama, whose presidency she cited as an inspiration to children. She founded the Community Against Drugs and Violence, a nonprofit organization focused on creating a safer environment for children in North Baton Rouge. She was found murdered on July 12, 2019. Rest in power, Queen. So every morning, like I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow morning, but there will be a Black History post on something. And I started this because I wanted to know what the problem was, why we're disrespected, why we're treated in such a way that we're treated. So from gerrymandering to contract buyers leagues to great folks that you probably never heard about, you can go on this page and find something. I've had parents actually say, Doc, we use your Black History page for our children to do their history reports. Right. So I encourage you guys to check it out. But that is Sadie Roberts Joseph. I've been in the same rooms with her, but did not know her that well. And it was hard to find information on her, but you could find a lot about the museum. It was also hard to find information on Odell Williams, who's a school teacher who the museum is named after. So you're talking about an iconic figure in the community, but a lot of people didn't know her because she let her work speak for what she did.
Right.
And this is truly a tragedy. You know, we've lost an important figure in our community, and rest well. You know?
Yeah. I kind of just want to say one other note in addition to what Doc said about the work of Miss Sadie Roberts Joseph. So we live in an Instagram culture and a post for the gram, do it for the gram culture, right? Mm-hmm. And so, at any given point, you can see a bunch of people posting a bunch of photos, selfies, et cetera, with the assumption of work being done. But if you look at the body of photos taken of Miss Sadie, most of them are action shots. Mm-hmm. She's not standing, waiting for a picture to be taken. There's pictures of her talking, educating, doing something. You know what I mean? And for me, that is, indicative of the work that she did while she was here on Earth. And, I think that it's always kind of important for us to take into consideration what are the things that we are working on. You know what I mean? Like, we can image ourselves however we want to. We can have the right angle. We can have the right whatever. But what is the work? And so if you look at people who have historically put the work in, they haven't had time for the photo ops, right? They may have been captured in someone's pictures, mm-hmm. but you captured them in action doing something. Right. And so that is the legacy that I hope that continues in the aftermath of Miss Sadie, that we put our hands in the ground and figure out how do we work to restore the museum, how do we work to restore the Juneteenth celebration, how do we work? Because, there's some folks that you will always catch them posing for the camera. You know
and brothers, not to dominate the conversation, but as a board member, I'm a board member of the Southern University Board of Supervisors. The family, one of the requests from the family is to preserve that museum, to keep that museum alive. So one of the proposals that I brought forth to the museum, to the board, is that we find funding, some kind of way. We have access to legislation. We got powerful people on the board that know a lot of folks. We do an endowed professorship in her name. We create a memorial or something on campus, and or do something every Black History Month in honor of Sadie. So
Definitely.
Thank y'all for sharing that moment.
Does she own the land? Is it a mortgage on the land?
Don't know the details yet. So that's this happened so fast. So that's research that's going in.
There was conversation about the church next door having some ownership of that space, which is hearsay, right? But one thing that I was talking to some folks about is like, hopefully, the city makes a move to make that place a historic
landmark. Yeah.
You know, it just seems like it would only be the right thing because it is in fact the only African American museum in the city of Baton Rouge. Right. So,
fellas, how do we find out more? Where do we go to find out more information about Black Out Loud? BlackOutLoudBR.com. We also on Instagram at Black Out Loud BR. We're also on Facebook, Black Out Loud Conference. We have a Twitter, but quite frankly, it ain't super active.
That's real.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a buck. It's not.
Doc,
yeah.
You got another one?
Oh no, I was just also gonna say, if anyone follows Israel Wilson, Izzy versus Izzy, as the social media director, he's been doing a hell of a job putting content out about Black Out Loud.
Oh,
so
definitely.
You gotta spell it out because it's not spelled the same.
It's not spelled, so you gotta spell it.
I'm gonna let you spell it because I don't want to, you know what I mean?
Spell it easy.
I don't want to asterisk that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, asterisk that thing.
HOVA. I'm just playing. My Instagram, social media director for the Black Out Loud Conference. My Instagram is IZZIE versus IZZY. You'll probably see me on someone else's page. That's on someone else's page, so feel free to follow. I'm pretty much everywhere. But I'm all about the Black Out Loud Conference. I'm all about spreading awareness. I'm all about Black mental health more than anything. I'm all about financial literacy for our people everywhere and criminal justice reform. I'm just really passionate about the outreach. I'm really passionate about just giving that acknowledgement or giving that piece about letting us know how we can get better as a people and just keeping that speech going forward. And I'm done.
Doc, why don't you drop the election page one more time for us?
Election page, y'all, is elect Dr. Rani. Rani is spelled R-A-N-I. Get it right, y'all. People be calling me Rainy, all kind of crying stuff. Elect Dr. Rani. E-L-E-C-T Dr. D-R Rani. R-A-N-I.com. No donations is too small. 50 cents to 5,000. Go on, give it up. So hope to see y'all at the polls, and we got to vote.
We welcome the kind that jingle, but
we love the kind that fold.
Coming to America.
Hello, Babar.
Dr. Rani for Coroner.
All right, everybody. This has been a great long episode. If you listen to all this and you ain't subscribed, something's wrong with you.
Something's wrong with you.
All right, you know you can find us at The Reserve Man on Instagram. That's at The Reserve Man. And we are out.
You know your credit score, man. I'm not surprised that's solid quality stuff. Right. Why is Steve Harvey still writing books when it's Wall Street? Like, if I want you, I ain't say you the Waffle House. That's where you bullshit. Hey, look, I care about you. We going to Waffle